Could we ever, ever change this song into something beautiful, like the beauty that we've seen? I'm asking you, lover, why do you have to be so mean? And as we go, let's get close, don't fool me. You're the only one who sees right through me. And when I call you on my knees, I'm asking you, lover, we can do better than this. I know I can do better if we could only find a way. Tell me, darling, do you ever think of me that way? Just want you to hold me closer than ever. Let's get to the sad and lonely road to emptiness. And why don't you hold me? Please don't say never. And all I want is one more touch of your sweet caress, your sweet caress. I know I can do better if we could only find a way. Tell me, darling, do you ever think of me that way? Just want you to hold me closer than ever. Let's get to the sad and lonely road to emptiness. And why don't you hold me? Please don't say never. And all I want is one more touch of your sweet caress, your sweet
And welcome. Happy New Year, everyone. This is really the first live, well, it's the first live broadcast I've done since late last year. So I haven't seen you guys since last year. So thank you so much for joining in. It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes people to realise that I'm back on live. Just had a bit of a break, and also I've had weddings for the last few weeks, so I haven't been able to get on because of I've been flat out, actually. So it's been interesting. Now I'm going to start off with the stubby holder. This is a bit of Aussie literature here. Stubby holder. I'm not sure if you have these in the US or Europe. Do you have stubby holders over there, or what are they called? Well, we call them stubby holders. And I've got my little Guinness bottle opener. So let's open this up. Ooh, so that way? Yep. Move that back there, and I'm going to stick, I know you Americans hate this, but I'm going to stick in some lemon. You guys think it should be lime, but over here we seem to do mostly with lemon. I have got a lime tree, but it's still growing with lime, so it's a bit early yet. So let me put the 3 lemons in there. Oh, yes. Here we go. You ready for this? Oh, that's so good. So we are in pre-show. Let me just bring that up so we know that it's in pre-show here. put that over there just so that we know what's going on. Be interesting to see if I can remember how to do all this because it's been so long since I've done it, so it might take a little bit. Now, I've started a bit early because I want to try and get on around about 11 a.m. my time because then I finish and I can have lunch with Kerry. So if I start at 12, it tends to go until sometimes, 1:30 before I have my lunch. So I thought a little bit earlier, but it's probably good for people like in New York and wherever else they can see. We call them cruisers, cussies, do you? Brightworks has said, cussies. Interesting. Let's see who's here anyway. So say hi if you are in the chat. I love this because Long Rider, has said, let me just go full screen just so I can see what's going on. Long Rider said, never mind, hello, Osler. Where have you been, slacker? Oh, I love it. Hurt said, standing by. Sting also said, hey, as well. Dana's here as well. G'day, Dana. How are you, buddy? Hello from South Florida. I've been checking out Dana's amazing bird photography. Marvelous Visual said, hey, David. Hey, people, it's been a while. It has. It's been quite a while. Now, I hope someone can answer this. I can't because I'm not a Godox user. But Marvelous Visual said, quick Sony question whilst I'm early. Has anyone figured out how to activate the red focus assist beam with the Godox triggers? XT2 and X Pros, I think he's saying. Can't get mine to work. Yes, I've turned the switch on. So perhaps someone can help him out that use Godox. That'd be terrific if you can help him out. Adventure with James and Matthew said, great to see you back, David. Wishing you and your family a happy new year. Same to you. So I hope everyone has had a wonderful time. We are out of lockdown here now, so we can go out, but we still got to wear masks and things like that, which is a pain in the backside, but we still have to wear those. I try and avoid it wherever possible. I'm just naughty, though. Kerry always says, you're arrogant. I just hate them. I can't breathe in them. Hewitt said early start. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to try and do this early from 11 o'clock Melbourne time each week now. So John said, well, hello, stranger. Glad to see you back. And it's interesting. So Brightworks said they call them cussies. Is it? Cussies. Is that an American term or where you're from, Brightworks? I'm just curious to know. Stubby holders here, we call them. I love it. Very popular here in Australia because it gets so hot. We like to keep our beers cold. Unlike you UK people that drink warm beer. What else is Michael said, hi everyone. Hello down under. Greetings from Austria. How are you, Michael? Nivak said, happy new year. Glad to hear you're busy with paid work. Yeah, but it eases off now a little bit. Look, to be completely honest, guys, it's still, everyone is still a little bit scared of booking weddings. I've had a lot of inquiries, but people just have not booked much because we've only just come out of lockdown. So I've now got another month until I have another wedding. So yeah, I think it's going to take 12 months before we recover fully here. But at least I've had some work now. 6:52 p.m. here in New York. So it's probably a fairly good time to come on for you guys anyway. Rocco said, greetings from Southwest Florida. Brightworks said Maine. Oh, okay. Yep, so it's a US thing. Rob said, hi from Southwest Ontario. So, like I said, we've got another, what time is it? Another 5 minutes before we start. Got some interesting rumours, though, today. So there has been some announcements with, or rumours about some new cameras coming along. So I am going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about these new 135 that's come out as well. So there's some interesting things that we can have a chat about. I'll also talk about my weddings as well, because that's been interesting, and I've really been using my A7S3 for like all of my weddings that I've been using. In fact, I've got an A7 III, which is up here actually. I'm using that as a down camera if I want to show stuff that's on the desk. But koozies here in America. Wow, so there's a few different things you're calling them. So they're koozies. I like that. That's quite cute too. I still love the Australian slang of stubby holder. So yeah, I'm using my A7 III here, and in fact I didn't even take it to the last wedding, which is the first time. So I'll tell you what I've been taking to my weddings. I've actually been using, I've been constantly just using my A7S III. So that's what I've been using for photography. The last two weddings I've done, no, the last one I didn't have video, so it was good because I could use it solely on the day. If I'm doing a wedding video, I then have to use it between the stills and the video. But because the last wedding I did was just stills, I used it solely for the day. Now let me show you one of the images because I'm just blown away by what this camera does, honestly. Let me open it up. JPEG files, let me open this up. Preview. Now I should be able to bring it over. Let me just check this for a minute. I should be able to bring it into here. How do I get it over there? I've got to try and bring it over to another window. I think it goes in there. No, how do I get it up there? Oh. Doesn't want to go now. Oh, hang on. Let me just quit this other program. That might be why. Playout B. Let me quit. Now, can I bring... Oh, there you go. So I'll bring it over. So this image that I've got here, I'll switch it to it now. So this image that I've got here was one that I took in, I love this venue. I'm actually one of the preferred photographers there, and I just adore it. Let me just see if I can make it a little bit bigger and I'll sort of discuss how I captured this image. So this was shot with the A7RV. Now don't worry about the noise in this because I've added grain into this. The grain was added because I wanted to add some atmosphere to this shot and I love it. So what I did was I had, this is not lit by flash. I'll show you the tube that I used. Where are we? So this is the tube that I used. You can see it's quite big. Like if I stand up, it really does cover the whole body. So, you know, this is the one that I've used, and I adored this. This was the first time that I used this in a wedding or anything like that, or even in a live shoot. So it was terrific, and it's very, very powerful, this one. And it lasted the whole day. I used it from some inside shots. I might show this eventually. I'll show some other shots that I got from there as well. But this is fantastic because not only can it do white balance, it can also do your full colour, 360 degrees of colour as well. So you can go through all the hues of red, green, blues and all that sort of stuff. Now, it was sent to me, so I didn't buy it, but I used it. So I'm not paid to say this. So I did use it in the wedding that I did there. Now, let me switch back. So what I did was, this is a window here, but there wasn't enough light coming through. Now, so what I wanted to do was I stood that light up behind these barrels. So it's actually, you can just sort of see the top part up here, but I stood it behind the barrels facing in towards the bride and groom. Now, I also then had smoke in a can. So I used smoke in a can and put it in behind the bride and groom. So it's actually letting the smoke off behind them there. And it's... that's what's giving this misty look, and also the light beams coming through is all from that smoke in a can that's getting this effect coming in through here. Then I just added a little bit of noise, and I'll talk about that soon because I've been sent this software program that's amazing. It's beautiful actually for getting nice sort of grain in your images and things. So I'll talk about that in a separate video. But all I did was I just posed them in this spot down here, asked them to kiss. And I always like that fraction before they do actually kiss. Let me just see if I can bring it up. So, you know, I like that effect where they actually haven't touched each other. I just love that look like that. I think it's very sort of sexy and romantic. So I did that. So that's how I used that. Now, this was taken with the Sony A7RV, and it was also using the 24GM. Do not underestimate the 24GM for photography portraits, because it really is beautiful. As long as you don't put the couple on the outside, you will get distortion, and you can clearly see it from the barrels that are sort of coming out here. But you know, if you look at the middle of it, there's no distortion at all, and it's quite beautiful, and it does give you that very wide angle look as well. So, you know, it's terrific. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that because I thought it's really nice, and I love using that camera. If I did want to go massive on this, I could use something like gigapixel if I wanted to, but remember, I can do 20 by 30 inches on this, so, you know, it's fine up to that size, so I'm not worried about that at all. And that light was just beautiful, balancing in with everything that was going on there. So I didn't use flash or anything. In fact, I didn't get my flash out for the whole day. I used that light for the whole day. So I just thought I'd share that with you anyway, so you can get an idea about how that looks. So on the day now, on the wedding that I actually used my A7S3. I shot with that with the whole day, and I used 2 lenses on the day with it. I used the 135, and I also used the 24 GM. Oh, and actually, I also used the 16 to 35 for one special shot that I did with the bride sitting down. But most of the day, I just used the 24 and the 135. Kerry was using my A9, so I've now passed the A9 on to Kerry. Before, she used to use the A7 III. So now Kerry is using the A9. She loves it because she loves the focus and the tracking and everything else, which she never had with the A7 III. And the other camera that I'm using is the A6400. Now, I've got the ZVE10, which I'm using here, but I just don't like to take that off this. So I use the A6400 as my other camera. Now, I use that for things like the wedding rings, because I've got some macro lenses that I use that were sent to me, actually, and I've reviewed them in my channel, but I use those on the A6400 to get the macro shots. So they're the only 3 cameras that I used, and it worked out fantastic, and I'm loving the results that I'm getting, particularly from the A7S III. I just adore that camera. In fact, I still think if I was buying a new camera now, I'd get another A7S III. I love it that much. But anyway, that's what happened with the wedding. So before we start the show, let me just catch up with everyone through here. Koozies are not the same as cooties. Oh, so what? I'm not sure what that means. Ordered the new Sony 70-200. Wow. Does anyone have an idea when they will be shipped? Who knows, Rocco? It's probably going to take a while because everything is being held back now with the chips. I'm going to talk about that again today, actually. It's becoming a real problem, in fact. But that's a great lens. They've done wonders with that new lens. They really have. George said, greetings from cold New Jersey, where we're waiting for this winter's first blizzard. Wait till you get your hands on the A7 for David. You'll love it. Missing some video specs from the S3, but the megapixels and focus mapping, focus breathing, compensation, and the photo video switch. Yeah, it looks like a really good camera. It really does. George said, waiting patiently for the A7RV. I'll be talking about that in a minute. It has to be coming. Steve also said, greetings all as well. All right, so let's get stuck into the stories for today, because I'm excited to share some of these, because at least we've got some news for a change. Now, let me just check here. Let me bring up... Did I put that in the thing? No, I must do that, because the current... Pre-show quit. No, all right. So I can just quit off the Q&A, which is there. Pre-show. Let me come down to the graphics and let me switch to this one. Now it should work, I hope. All right, here we go. Beautiful. It is. It's working. I'm amazed. I've just been thinking, because I haven't done this for so long, I'm going to stuff up. I really did think I was going to stuff up. Now, the interesting thing today is I'm also using the Ninja as my camera switcher. Now, I have noticed, though, it's been getting really warm, so I've turned the fans up full. Can you hear the fan noise, or is it pretty good? I'm just curious to know. I'd really like to know that. So I have got that on at the moment. All right, so let's have a look. So I'm going to run this differently today. I'm going to run it from my iPad. So I've even gone a different way now. I'm changing something every week, but I'm going to show you this story from the iPad. The good thing about doing it this way is I can just blow this up if I wanted to show something. So, you know, it should be pretty interesting to show this way. So I got this off Digital Photography School this morning, and this is really interesting. Like I said, I've hardly looked at the news over the last few weeks because I've sort of had a bit of a holiday. We've been skiing with the family up in Echuca. And things like that. So I haven't really looked at the news much at all. So I'm interested to sort of have a look at this today with you. I haven't even read the stories today, so we're going to go through this together. And I'll talk about some things that I think, yeah, could be a possibility or not. But the interesting thing is it's saying here that Sony are to unveil 3 new cameras in 2022, including an A7RV. Now, this makes sense to me, but there's 2 cameras that will be coming out, and I'll talk about that in a minute, that I think is definite going to come out this year. The other one I'm not quite sure about, but we'll look at that as we go through. So let's have a look what they're saying. And they've read something from Sony Alpha Rumours, but the cameras they're saying is the A7V will succeed the A7R4, Sony's high-resolution full-frame camera. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with for megapixels. There are rumours, if you look sort of down here, that they're saying that it may be this 102-megapixel sensor. And I think that's probably true, because I think they're going to want to try and compete with Canon, who are now sort of upping the megapixels. So I think they're going to probably do that. So it is going to be a fairly big step up from what you've got, say, in the A1, the A7R4. So I think it probably will be over that 100-megapixel sensor. They're also saying that there'll be an autofocus upgrade. If you look here, generous autofocus upgrade and the 9.4 million dot electronic viewfinder. I love that. I mean, I absolutely adore the A7S III. That's one reason why I can't put that down, in fact, because I use the EVF a lot, and that is just such a beautiful EVF. It must be, like, it's amazing on the A1 as well. So you know how good that is if you've got an A7S III or also the A1. It's just brilliant. So I probably do agree with that. I do think they're also saying 10 frames per second. So you'll probably have, they're actually saying it's going to increase to 15 to 20 if you look there. 15 to 20 frames per second compared to 10 frames per second on the A7 IV. So it looks like they're probably going to push this. It must have much better processors in it compared to, say, what the previous generation had, because they're going to have to, in fact, have that 105 megapixel or whatever it's going to be. It's going to have the new EVF. It'll have, obviously, the new CF Express cards in there. And they're also saying it's going to do 8K video. Now, I think they probably will do that at this stage. Sooner or later, we've had the A1 out for a while now, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do add 8K video. I still think this will probably be linked to 8K 30. I don't think we're going to get 8K 60 out of this yet. We might have to wait for another A7S III or something, A7S4 or something like that before we get that in that camera. But we'll have to see sort of what's going on there. The new EVF, though, really will be amazing, and you'll also get the better screen. Surely they will put the better screen on this. They didn't do that with the A7 IV, and I was disappointed with that, to be honest with you guys. I really was. So this would have to have that better screen. If it doesn't, I'll be screaming like crazy. So that's the first camera that's going to come out, and I'd love to know your opinion about that. I'm not sure about the order of this, because there also is a rumour about a new A9iii that's going to be coming out, and I think the A9iii may come out before the A7R5. But you know, it's going to be interesting. They're also saying here too that they do think that the 102 megapixel sensor, though, they're saying that it will probably be 61 megapixels is more likely. I'm not convinced about that. What do you guys think? I don't know. Look, do you need 100-odd megapixels? I'm not sure. 61 is quite big as it is, but I mean, the megapixel race does seem to be back on again now. And if Canon are going to be going that way, I think probably Sony may too. Now, the A9 III is going to be an interesting one as well. I'm just reading down here. They're saying the Sony A9 III, like the A9 II, will cater directly, what's it saying? Will cater directly to professional sports photographers. Rumoured specifications are scarce. I'm hoping that they add video in this one and picture profiles. They just haven't done that to this stage, but I'm just hoping that it happens. They're saying that, but you can bank on the body with improved autofocus, shooting speed upgrades, and the A9 II shoots at 20 frames per second, so look for 30 frames per second or even 60 frames per second in the A9 III. As well as the standard features, a 24 megapixel sensor, a rugged body, dual card slots, and in-body image stabilization. This could be a camera that I would love to see get rid of the shutter completely. I mean, they can do it now. So there's no reason why Sony have to now have the shutter in these cameras. If you look at the A1, I would not be using the mechanical shutter at all. So I think they could easily get rid of the mechanical shutter completely. Look, I suppose it's in there, but it would be great if it was taken out. You might save a bit of money. It certainly is much better for the camera. Like my A9, I very rarely use mechanical shutter. The only time I ever do it is if I use flash. Now with the A1, you don't have to do that anymore because, you know, you've got that mechanical, the electronic shutter that you can do, I think it's up to 250th of a second, I think, in your flash exposure. So I think I probably would never use the mechanical shutter at all. So this could be one that they get rid of that. You're obviously going to have the much better EVF. It'll have the same body as basically, you know, the A1 is there. It probably will, looking at it though, I've got a feeling that they're going to hold off with the video features on the A9iii again. Because there's just no rumours about anything with video on that side of it, which is a real shame. Look, it will do video. It'll be very good at video, but I bet you, I'm hoping not, but I bet you they will keep the picture profiles out. I think if you want the picture profiles in that sports camera, you're going to have to get the A1. And that's how they'll make you go for the A1 as against the A9iii. If you, say, more wanted to concentrate just on doing the sports photography, though, this probably is going to be the camera to get. I mean, if it does get up to 60 frames per second, you know, it's going to be beating the A1. But you won't have the video side to it, the 8K video that you have on the A1 as well. So it's going to be interesting anyway. But I think the A9iii is probably, well, what do you believe? And I'll come back to the questions a little bit later. But do you think we'll get the A7RV before the A9iii? I'd just like to know which way you think they're going to be. The other one too was that came up here was that I think Tony Northrup did a video about this according to this. I haven't seen it, but they're saying the other camera might be a Sony A5, which is going to be an entry-level full-frame camera to rival the Canon EOS RP and the Nikon Z5. So that's interesting. They're saying Sony's lineup currently contains no real low-end full-frame camera. Well, that's what the A7 III was meant to be, and it still is on sale, so I'm not sure about this. It's going to have to be a pretty good camera to dethrone the A7 III, though, and the A7C. Remember, too, I think we're also due for an A7C update as well. So there's so many things that is going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, I know that Sony also recently put stops on most of the APS-C cameras, and I think that was totally due to the chip shortage that I'll talk about in one of the next stories coming up. But so at the moment, we're not going to be really getting any new A7 sort of APS-C bodies coming through, or even their current bodies, due to the fact that I think they're saying, well, we'll sacrifice those to enable us to get out more of the high-end, you know, full-frame cameras that we sort of have got there. So there's quite a few things that it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Will they bring out a new APS-C camera? Will they also bring out a new ZV-2? I mean, that could also be one that probably now needs to be updated. I've got the ZV-1. I love it. But they could potentially now bring out a new version of that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go with all of these cameras. So when we come back later on, I'll go through the questions and see if anyone is asking anything about that, because I think it's pretty interesting anyway. All right, so let me come down here. Let's have a look here. The rankings I wanted to show, because this is pretty good for Sony particularly. Now remember, this is only Japan, but it's probably a similar thing worldwide. Oh, that beer is so good. If you look at the rankings here, what they're saying is that number one, now the top one we're looking at here is the digital camera lens integration type department. So this is camera lens integrated, so it's all together. Now Sony are ranked number 2 and Fuji number 3, Canon is number 1. But if you look at digital camera single lens reflex cameras, now like I said, Canon have got so many of these, I'm not surprised to see that Canon is number 1, Nikon is number 2, and Ricoh is number 3 in there. But then if you get down to the area that we're mostly concerned with, which is digital cameras, Sony is number 1, and they've got a share of 32%, which is really good. Now, the interesting thing there is the rank of number 2 is Canon. So Canon have got 28.2% there. And OM, is that Olympus? Digital Solutions is 12.7. They're ranked at number 3. So Sony is still doing very, very well in the camera department. And probably, in fact, if this was... I've just lost my thought then because I just saw someone say, Juicy, hi David, do you still do live Saturday? Yes, this is the live Saturday. You have been doing every Saturday... this is Saturday. This is the time I do it, which is Saturday for me. It's sort of Friday night for you guys, Juicy. So, yeah, it's always this time. So I think Sony will be really happy with that. Considering you can't get the A7 IV, you just can't buy that anywhere. There's a massive waiting list for things like that and a lot of other Sony cameras. I think Sony will be pretty happy with those results. The next one down is just for video cameras. So digital video camera department, Panasonic's ranked number 1. Sony have got number 2, so they've even done well there. And DJI have got ranked as number 3. So Sony overall have been doing very, very well. Now remember, this is only in Japan though, but I thought I'd share that with you. So the results are pretty good. Let me keep going down. Now, this was one I just wanted to share with you. It was in Sony Alpha rumours. They're saying not so accurate. They're saying Weibo, a9iii and a7RV rumours are spreading on the web. But they're also saying it may be released in the 4th quarter. So they're saying on Sony Alpha rumours that we might have to wait until the 4th quarter to see these new cameras come out, which is a long way away. Now, with a chip shortage, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm going to talk about that, I think, in the next story or the one after that. So what else they're saying? As far as timing, what's it saying there? As far as I heard, the timing of the A7 V release isn't true. Oh, okay. Which leads me to believe that this rumour might be not correct at all because it will be announced long before the A9 III. So he's saying here that, well, they're saying there on Sony Alpha rumours that the A7 V is going to come out before the A9 III. But I see all other rumour sites posted it without questioning it, so I figured I'd share my 2 cents. I'll leave these underneath so you can have a look at these rumours anyway. Let me go down here. Now, this is talking about the chip shortage. It's interesting if you look at... I think it's affecting everyone. Look, in fact, I just bought... Well, we just bought Kerry... That went blank then. I just bought Kerry a new car, and... luckily, they had one in stock, but they basically said now at the moment, if you order a new car, you've got to wait roughly around 6 to 8 months. In some cases, it's 12 months. So I was lucky that I found one in stock, so we should get it in the next few days. But it's so hard. So everything has been affected. And in fact, I asked the salesman at Toyota, I just said, what's the... issue? Is it the chip shortage? And they said, yes, basically it's that, and the shipping is a real issue at the moment. But the chip shortage is affecting everything. So it's affecting cars, it's affecting everything that's sort of out there. So it's interesting when you look at this because it's saying here that, let me just make this a little bit bigger for you guys. It said that Sony said for camera products, there is currently a delay in parts procurement, partly because of the global shortage of semiconductors, which is affecting production of certain products. And that's why I mentioned that the Sony APS-C cameras were all basically now being stopped for a period of time. They haven't said that they're cancelling them, but they just haven't been making them anymore. And I think they're probably, you know, trying to sort of limit the chips that are put in those, and then they've got more for their higher-ended full-frame cameras. So that's what Sony said. Zeiss said, of course, we at Zeiss are also affected by the shortage and price increases for components. See, that's the other thing too. Because there's such a shortage now, the price increases, everything's jumped up, you know, substantially. So that's another issue that you're sort of dealing with as well. Semiconductor components of lenses, our long-standing and reliable supplier relationships, and our long-term planning. They're saying they've got good suppliers, so they have sort of been, you know, reasonably okay. Sigma also said, since last year, the supply of not only semiconductors, but also materials and components has been tightened due to the shutdown of factories and disruptions. And I think the logistics is a massive part to it as well. I did see stuff, I think, in the US that they had all these container ships that were locked off LA. So I know we've got the same problem here. I believe I was talking to someone the other day that they were saying that to get a container in, look, I'm going to be guessing because I can't remember, but they were saying to get a container in may have been $500, whereas now it was something like $15,000 to get the container in. Like, it was a ridiculous amount that the shipping containers now are costing compared to what they were, 12 months ago. So this is also going to push prices up, and it's also been hard to get things in. So this is all affecting it as well. And I think they're just saying there that Sigma will do the utmost to fulfill its supply responsibilities in order to avoid causing inconvenience to our customers. So everyone is, suffering in this market at the moment, which is pretty sad, really. I don't know how long then. I heard sort of mid-year they were going to get out of it, but then I read the other day that it was going to be 2023 until they get out of it. I probably think that's probably true. Let me come down here. I've read that one. Now, this is interesting because this looks like it's a really good lens. Samyang, I'd love to get a hand of this, but I just can't get them here in Australia. So Samyang have just announced the AF135 1.8 lens. Now, I adore my 135 GM. Now, I'd love to know how this compares to that because I'd be really curious. I did do some tests between the Sigma 135 and also the GM 135, and they were both fantastic lenses. I did prefer the GM lens though, but the Sigma was very, very good. Now, this could be a really interesting one to try. I've noticed that Sigma, Samyang, and I believe this is going to come out also as Rockion. I think they're going to release it under the same banner for both of the lenses, but they have upped their lens standards like incredibly. It's the same as Tamron, it's the same as most lens manufacturers now. They are all very, very good. I'd be interested to see how this compares with things like focus and things like that, and the overall image quality, because the 135 GM is just outstanding. So I'd love to see how this actually performs. Not from, say, not from like a rep for Fuji or someone that's been sent that lens. I'd love to see it from neutral reviewers, but it looks really nice. It looks nice on the camera body as well. I just sort of scroll through here. There are a couple of reviews on YouTube that will sort of show you about this, but like I said, I'm a bit hesitant at the moment because they probably are ambassadors that have been given these lenses this early. But it looks nice. They're saying basically here that, I'm just reading this section down here, that super resolution and lightweight in newly designed optical system. What else they're saying? Beautiful bokeh, focus range limiter, which is, useful for when you're shooting close up and things like that. Optimized function for astrophotography as well. I think they're also saying that it's got linear step motors. I'm just going to keep coming down until we can have a look. You can sort of see the size there. I think it looks similar to the 135 GM. It might be a fraction smaller. We'll have to see if when I check the specs sort of out side by side between two of them. What else are they saying here? It's interesting though, they're saying for astrophotography though. Like, it's a long lens for astro, that's for sure. I'm just trying to see. It's got video shooting, includes popular features such as focus lock button, custom switch, but also Samyang's new focus range limiter switch there as well. Just saying superb resolution. Like I said, this may all be marketing, but I expect this lens to actually be very, very good. I'll be surprised if it's not very, very good. I'm just seeing if it mentions the linear mode. Yeah, it does down there. Fast and quiet autofocus performance, tracking the subject accurately and quickly. The AF also operates quietly and smoothly when shooting video. It's got the linear STM stepping motor, so that probably will be very, very good. It's got the focus hold button, custom switch, focus range limiter as well. Now your range limiter, it looks like it's got full. The AF range is set between infinity and minimum focus distance. It's got a 0.69 to 2 metres. The AF range is set between that for close-up shooting, and then it's got a 1.5 metre if you want to use it for your normal, 1.5 metre to infinity if you want to use it for your normal shooting. So it also says there it's got a short minimum focus distance of 0.69, which would be good to give you that sort of, you know, semi-macro photography as well. And it's also weather sealed. So, I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. What do you all think about it? The price is going to be, looking at that here, the price was going to be $9.99 US, and it's going to be released soon. So it's certainly a lot cheaper than the 135 GM. So it's going to be interesting to see how it stacks up. I can't wait to see some, you know, like I said, unbiased reviews of them side by side. So I'm really curious about that. Just to sort of show you some other pictures of this lens. Now, I like the design. It's very, very nice. Like I said, the things that they're doing now with the lenses, we are so blessed with Sony, that's for sure. So let's have a look. So that there is your, this is your custom button, and that's your focus sort of selector at the bottom there as well. So you've got an M1, M2. You could program the custom button to do different things. I'd be using it for something like IAF if it was set up by me. Looking at the lens there from the opposite sort of angle. I like the design though. I think it looks really good. You can sort of see, there you go. So it is M1, M2, and there's also down here, so there's an M1, M2. There's also a, that's your focus down the bottom here. So you've got your full, your 0.69 to 2, and your 1.5 metre to infinity as well. Oh, that's cool. So it is quite programmable. Nice big lens hood on it as well, similar to the G Master 135. I reckon it's cool. I think that's it. Yes, it was. So let me switch back to me. And we'll go through some Q&A. So let me just switch over here. Let me bring that up. All right. So if you have any questions, guys, fire away with them, because I'd love to know what you're thinking about everything that I've been talking about today. Let's come down to where I was. George is saying waiting patiently for the A7RV. It has to be coming. Are you going to retire your A7 III? Well, I don't know, George. I'm still a bit unsure about buying new gear at this stage due to the fact that it's still here. Everyone's a little bit wary about, you know, booking weddings and things like that. So I think at this stage I'm probably just going to stay as I am for the time being. Obviously, if something breaks, I would have to replace it. I think if I was going to buy a camera now and retire my A7 III, I would get the A7S III. I'm really comfortable shooting 12 megapixels, and I sort of discussed that earlier with you guys. I love the focus. In fact, I can't put it down. I love the EVF. I love everything about that camera. I mean, if the A7S had the better back rear screen, well, that's probably what I'd wait for. I mean, that is going to be incredible, but I don't think they'll update the A7S for a while. So I'll probably keep the A7 III for a while, George. There's nothing wrong with that camera. In fact, I still like it a lot. Greetings from Seabrook, Texas. G'day, Keith. How are you? G'day, Cliff. How are you? I love it too, guys. If you give me a thumbs up, it does make a big difference to me, being unsponsored. Rob said, I'm in New Jersey too. No snow yet in the South River. Yeah, we're the complete opposite over here. It's been really hot here. Waiting patiently on A9 III. Sports action stills is my market. Yeah, well, that's probably going to be an amazing camera. I mean, that could be one that I would sort of replace my A9 II with. I just haven't got the funds to buy the A1. I mean, the A1 would be the ultimate camera. I mean, I had it for a month and I loved it. I just can't afford $10,000 for a camera. I mean, I just can't afford it. But the people that have it, I'm jealous. Good on you. I wish I could get one. IWC Pilot said hello from Toronto. Rob said, they're talking to each other. Richard said, greetings from Las Vegas. I got my A7 5 just before Christmas, and you were right, David. The out-of-camera JPEGs are really good. I knew it would be. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's amazing if you have the A1 and also the A7S3. The out-of-camera JPEGs are stunning. So I'd expect the A7 to be just as good. In fact, I often use JPEGs just straight out of camera. The tracking is nuts, I bet. I would love it if Sony put a GPS in camera. That would be really handy too, actually. I agree with you, Rob. Keith said, would a slight increase in resolution on the A9iii? It'll be interesting to see, won't it, what they get. Do you really think you need it, though? I don't know. I think 24 megapixels is terrific, but what would you like, 30? If you were for your A9iii, you know, would you like a 30 megapixel, something like that? Just curious to know. Personally, I think it's going to be upgraded to 61. Oh, you're talking about the A7RV. Wirt said the A7 sensor will stay at 61 megapixels. Keith said, I do use flash now and then on my A9 II. Yeah, but like I said, if you had the shutter of the A1, if you had the electronic shutter, you don't need a mechanical shutter anymore to do flash. So that's, you know, would be a terrific way of doing it. So it's only a matter of time until they get rid of the mechanical shutter. Like I said, if you had the A1, I think you would very rarely ever use the mechanical shutter. Why would you want it? You get wear and tear as well. So, you know, you don't have the fast readout speed like you've got with the electronic shutter. You can go up to 1/32,000th of a second. I mean, I just don't think you need the mechanical shutter anymore. Hurt said, rival of the Canon RP, funny. Hi, David, do you still do live Saturday? If you don't have been doing every Saturday, anyone? Yeah, look, like I said, this is the usual time, Jizzy. It's always been Saturday morning my time, which ends up being Friday US time. It's been this time forever. I just did it an hour later. I started at 12 instead of 11. Silly questions, David. Do you get frames per second drops with your A7S3? When I film with mine at 4K 60, it's a darkish scene. The frame rate would drop to 30. No, I haven't had that. That's weird, George. No, I haven't had that at all. That shouldn't happen because there's something wrong with your camera, I think. George said, with the chip shortage and supply chain issues, are we going to be in for big disappointments? We could be. I mean, that's the thing. Who knows? We may not see any of these new rumour bodies for a long time. I think we're still going to get them, George, but I think you'll probably find that some cameras are going to be hard. Like they'll end up doing with the full frame what they've done with the APS-C cameras. You won't be able to get some cameras. They'll probably just hold off on others until they can get like the chips for those cameras. So they may just sort of release the newer ones. But it's going to be like everything. You're just going to have to put them on pre-order straight away if you want to get one and not wait 12 months to get one, basically. You know, it's pretty tough, though. The chip shortages cause so many issues. Triple07 said, I can't get the A7 IV. Glad I'm holding mine then. Yep, you just can't get it. What I can't find for sale anywhere is the A7S. Well, I heard that too the other day, that the A7S3 is also incredibly hard to get anywhere. I don't know if it's even available here anywhere, but, you know, it is very, very hard to get. I mean, the technology that goes into these cameras, it's incredible. So, you know, you're talking about an awful lot of chips and things like that in these cameras. So it's interesting. But I have heard, yeah, the A7S3 is hard to get too. Nick's just saying hi to everyone. Canon have their own fab chip manufacturers, so they shouldn't be as affected as others. Now, I did hear that Sony were also going to do one, but it probably takes a fair amount of time to get up to date with, you know, like the fabrication and everything else that they have to do. So it probably is going to take time for them to get that manufacturing open. I think they're going to have to bring a lot of manufacturing in these companies because you just can't rely on it now unless you're producing it yourself. Jizzy said, I've had my A1 on order from 7.5 weeks waiting in Australia. I know it's so frustrating waiting for all this stuff. John said, PC Magazine says that on the mean, US manufacturers only a 5-day supply of chips. I'm sure it's similar in Asia. Usual US inventory is 40 days. Wow. See, this is why they've got to bring back manufacturing. You know, that's the thing. They have to bring back manufacturing in your own country. Everyone is going gouging while they can. John's talking to each other. Looks like it's time to work on technique rather than technology. Maybe, Rob. Evermore said, good evening, David. G'day, buddy. How are you? Jean said, I love Samyang Rockion. I got the 50 1.4 and the 85 1.4. Both are pretty good. Exactly. Amazing lenses now. They're not like the day where that used to be a cheap lens and it gave you cheap results. They really are excellent now. They've improved incredibly over the last couple of years. Keith said, love my 135 GM. So do I, Keith. My favourite lens. That and the 24. I love those two lenses. Just awake at 4:23 in Dubai. Need a coffee. This is rapid fire chat. Okay, Phil, how are you, buddy? Sting said 135 is great for deep sky astrophotography. Yeah, see, I don't do much astro, so like I said, I would always be just grabbing my 24 if I did it. But you people that do astro would probably you know, a lot more than I would for astro. I've always just grabbed something that's wide. Sting, I'm surprised that is long enough to pick anything interesting. Keith said 9 or 11 blades. I don't think they said, did they? Let me just have a look. Hang on. Let me just go back. Where was it? Is there specs in here? I'm just trying to see if it says how many blades are in there. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's got the optical design of 13 elements in 11 groups. All right, let me go back. IWC Pilot said, I recently picked up the 70-200 GM, absolutely incredible lens. I know they've done some voodoo magic with that again. Can't wait to see the 24-70 and also the 85 1.2. I'm so excited about them bringing those out. Nick said, power in the Philippines, so you're blessed in Dubai, heading next to... Oh, okay, they're just talking to each other. Would it be long enough to pick up, say, Andromeda on the... Oh, okay, I don't know about those lenses. I'm not sure, Rob. Someone else might be able to help you, though. Canon make their own chips, so it shouldn't be an issue for Canon users. Let me go. Nick Can said, hello from Ireland. G'day, mate. How are you? David, would the A7RV be a big enough upgrade to the A7C? Oh, definitely. Yeah, it certainly would. The A7V is amazing. It is a big upgrade from, you know, everything that's sort of out there before it. That's a lesser model. It's terrific, in fact. Great camera. 30 to 50 megapixel, I do crop. Yeah, if you crop, you need that sort of resolution. I completely understand if you crop, you need it. Sports photographers, if you're shooting wildlife, stuff like that, you all need megapixels that you can crop into. So completely understand that. People are talking together. Nivak said, mechanical shutter on the A1. I don't know that it's ever fired on my A1. Exactly, and that's the thing. I agree, Nivak. You don't need it. And I've never considered trying to force it. See, this is the interesting thing. I do definitely think that they're moving down to like getting a global shutter. Even if I'm not sure you even need a global shutter anymore. I think the shutter now on like the A1 is so fast that you're getting to the point where it doesn't matter anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if the a9iii has that technology in it, if they get rid of the mechanical shutter completely. You just don't need it anymore. George said, do you update the firmware on your A7S III? I think that might be the issue then otherwise. Yes, I do. I always update the firmware once it's out, George. That could be a problem if you don't do it. G'day, Michael. How you going? Nice to see you here. Hi, David. Hope all is well. The FX6 firmware. I know. I saw that this morning. The FX. Let me just see if I can bring it up for you to show you. It's brilliant. If you are shooting with the FX6. Let me just go back to here. I need to go back to Sony Alpha Rumors. Let me just bring in another page. It was here. So this is the latest update. Look at what they've added. Benefits improvement, they say they've added the AI-based real-time tracking. Touch function is now set to tracking AF. They've also added breathing compensation. So you've probably got that same feature that you've got in the A7RV. 16-bit raw output via HDMI. They've added bokeh adjustment mode for easy adjustment while minimising exposure changes. High dynamic range HDR, standard dynamic range SDR, emulated preview display, gain, metadata recording, add the picture case recording function, displayed the 4-channel audio meter, that's terrific as well. I mean, there's 2 videos down here. Philip Bloom's probably got a really good one you can watch. I always love Philip Bloom's videos. But that's just a firmware update that's come out now. So if you have got the FX6, I would love that camera. I mean, because I'm now going more and more into video, whoops, I would love that camera. Let me just switch back and go on. Yeah, I would adore that camera, Michael. I just can't justify getting it. I need something that will do fusion, which is both stills and video. But if I was a full-time videographer and that's all I did, it'd be fantastic. Evermore said, I'm so glad I pre-ordered the A7 when it was announced. I'm trying to get a second one. Can't find it anywhere. There is a 3-month wait. Yeah, it's the same here. There's a big, massive wait everywhere. Matt said, I also think the a9iii should get upgraded video settings, maybe even 6K video. I hope so. I don't know if they'll do it though, Matt. I think they're still going to push you up to the A1. I mean, you know what they're like. They've never given us any picture profiles or anything. I thought they were going to give it to us with the original A9, but then they never did. And then I thought the a9iii would have had it. It never did. So I wouldn't expect it on the a9iii either. I just wouldn't expect it. I hope so, but don't hold your breath. Oh, thank you so much, Long Rider. Just gave me a donation. Ooh. Oh, look. That's new. I love it. Thanks, buddy. I love it. Thank you so much, mate. Nick said the Z9 is over 8,500 euros for the equivalent of a Dubai price. Yeah, it's so expensive. That is a magnificent camera, though. Nikon have done a great job with the Z9. In fact, you know, if that had been released years ago when I made the switch, I probably wouldn't have switched because it's very, very good. That camera is brilliant for what it does. Hertz at 11 blades. Oh, okay. Nick said, I find Tamron lenses better made and closer to the OEM than the Sigma. I probably agree with you on that. Tamron really now are doing unbelievable things. And the lenses are just so good. They're amazing. Although it sounds like you're reading a Nikon ad copy. Aaron said, good to see you. G'day, Aaron. How are you? Good to see you here, buddy. The description says A5. Did you mean A7V? Well, they're saying, I think the Northroops were saying it could just be an A5. I'm not sure. What's the feel of the electronic shutter on the A7 IV? Don't know, because I haven't used it, so I'm not sure. I think I used it a while ago in the shop, but I can't remember, to be honest. It's probably pretty good, but it's slow compared to what the a9iii is. Hi, G'day, Tony. Wow, did I just get back in time, or is this live? He keeps saying A7 IV with it laugh out loud. A7 V, I mean. Where are we? Gene said it would be nice if they did more firmware updates on the older bodies like the A7RV and the A6400. Thanks for the donation, Long Rider. Hi, David. I have the Samyang 85 1.4 for my A7 III. Will the new 135 1.8 make a huge difference? Yeah. Yep. Look, I've got the Zeiss Batis 85 1.8 And there is a massive difference in the depth of field when you use the 135. Yeah, huge. In fact, I very rarely ever use my 85 anymore. I love the 135 so much. The 135, look, I think the perfect portrait size is, I love the 105 as well. I loved it when Sigma had the, I used the Sigma 105. I think the 105 and the 135 is just the most beautiful range or length for a portrait. It's very, very slimming in the face. You get the beautiful fall off in the background. You don't need anything more than 1.8 because it's basically blown away anyway with that range. But yeah, I think if you're dealing with wanting a portrait lens, the 105 and the 135 is the best you can get. Is the 8K the new default for wedding and broadcast going forward? Probably, yeah. I mean, look, the Mac Pro that I've got, I just wish I'd saved 8K footage. I didn't when I had the A1, but I've seen many reviews saying that the MacBook Pros that are out now can handle 8K footage quite easily. It wasn't that long ago that you just couldn't do that, but yes, I think so, because if I had an 8K camera, I would shoot in 8K. And the reason why I would do that is to be able to, remember, I'm doing Fusion, which means I'm doing everything at once, stills and video at the same time. If I could get 8K footage, I could crop that in multiple times. You know, I could take the one shot and then I could get, say, a half body shot out of that, and then I could also get just a head and shoulders shot out of the same footage. So it really does give you incredible flexibility. The other thing that it can do with 8K as well, you can grab stills from that and get, what is it, about a 30 megapixel file size. So it's also, as long as your shutter speed is enough, up, that you could also get some amazing stills out of that as well. In fact, I've used stills even off my A7S3, and I've used Gigapixel to up-res it, and they look fantastic. And I've done a video about that actually. So, you know, it really would be useful. And I think now, as long as you can justify the storage, and you've got a fairly new Mac or a fairly new PC with a decent video card in it, you'll be able to handle 8K fairly easily. So yeah, it probably is the future. That's one big thing it's got with the A1. It's future-proofing your camera, you know, and that's a big advantage. Michael said, I only have the A1 and the FX6, and I'm truly 100% happy. I'm not sure. I can understand, Michael. Why? It sounds like you're reading a Nikon ad copy. They're talking to each other. Michael said, I think Sony is going to drop more updates across the board. I'm feeling the A7S3 and the A1 going to get one. Sony is going back and forth with Canon. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, Michael, to see what happens. I don't think the A7S3 will get updated this year. I think probably next year. I think they would more concentrate on an a9iii and also a A7RV. They'll be the ones that I think would probably get updated this year. Steve said electronic on the A7 IV is similar to the A7 III. Yeah, it's slow. I mean, it's not one that you can, it's not fast enough. It's nowhere near fast enough to do still photography if anyone's moving or things like that. Look, it's fine. Even the A7 III is okay as long as the subject's not moving at all, but I never use it because it's too risky. If all of a sudden they move and that was the image that you wanted, you're going to get blur in the image. So yeah, it's not, you know, a rolling shutter. It's not good. So I wouldn't use it on anything other than the A9 series or the A1 at this stage, because you just need that fast, readout to be able to get those sort of still images off it successfully. And the other thing too is, remember, you can get banding too, and often the banding you won't see when you are looking on the back of the screen, and that's the problem. You won't notice it until you get home, and then your image is full of banding and it becomes a nightmare. I just wouldn't risk it in a wedding. A one-off event like that, it's too risky to use something like an A7 III or an A7 IV with electronic shutter. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine, but I just wouldn't do it. And Nick said, have to update my iMac since it's 12 years old. Yep, you certainly do, Nick. But you know what? You only know if it needs updating or not. It's amazing how long these computers seem to run as well. Sting said, as a Canon shooter, I'm jealous of Sony's third-party lenses. I know we're so lucky. I remember when I first went over to Sony, I had to wait 12 months to get the 85 Batis, and I've still got that lens. I love it. But I had to wait 12 months to get that. It was on order. They were that hard to get because everyone wanted them and they were in such short supply. I was just so screaming because at that time the 85 was my favourite focal length. And that's all I shot with mostly for portraits and things like that. Yeah, and it took so long to get it. Whereas now, you know, I mean, you've got all of these lenses that you can buy for the Sony mount. And if you use adapters, you've got even more. So it's incredible. We really are lucky. Like John said, Sting agreed. And that's it, guys. We're basically at the end of the day. David, we miss you, buddy. We miss the live streams. Do more. Yeah, I'll be back on each week now, Michael, because I'm not doing weightings for the next month. So I'll be back every week doing the normal lives with you guys now. So I'll be back all the time. So please, if you can, guys, I'd love it if you could give me a you know, thumbs up and share the video. Let everyone know that I'm back. If you have any questions at all from today, just leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I do answer or read every question that comes in. Sony bringing out multiple cameras on a regular basis, I think, turns people off. Well, it probably does, yes, too much, because look, I think it's just the way it used to be. Sony definitely have tapered that off, though. I mean, the thing too is, I don't update my stuff that much, so I don't really care if something new comes out. And it's like, you know, I'm happy that Sony have done that. And then if someone's got the money, it's terrific that people can just update. I mean, I don't have to do that. And in fact, most professionals don't do that. I've talked about that before, that it's the hobbyists that have disposable income that tend to sort of upgrade all the time because they've got a second job or a job as well as doing photography. Most full-time photographers keep their gear for years, in fact. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that they're bringing new stuff out, and eventually, you know, I can update to it, I suppose. Now, let me just see here, too. I need to get rid of this and put up the end thing. Where are we? Layout B, just so I'm ready to bring the last thing on. Did I have it in there? I'm just trying to see if I even have it. I don't think I do. No. Oh, yes, I have. It's there. Cool, as long as I've got it. Let me just bring this up because I'll just play it when I'm ready. All right. Let me see if anyone else has said anything. Steve said the RX10, what's that one? Has a stack sensor and is, yeah, that's true actually, Steve. That's a good camera. Nivak said, thanks, David. Great to see you again. Keith said, thanks for the updates. Michael said that 85 1.2. I know. That is going to be so cool. I've got to at least get a loaner or something of that one. I have my eye on that one too. It's going to be brilliant. Thanks for this as well. And they're just talking, Michael's just talking to Keith as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for today. It's been great to be back. I've really enjoyed it, actually. I'm going to head out and grab some lunch now with Kerry. Apart from that, everyone, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks, guys.
If you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's standing in a line for the water slide. You can come on over, we can take the roller coaster. And you know everybody's looking for a ride in the water slide. Water slide. Surfing on a wave of good feelings. Well, it's just another Friday.